Dresden, capital of the German Free State of Saxony. A major centre of culture with a remarkable history. Although almost completely destroyed at the end of the Second World War, and for many years hidden behind the Iron Curtain, today the city shines out in all its former splendour. The Wettiner dynasty developed the old town during 800 years of power. And Friedrich August the First, known as the Strong, became its most prominent figure. He also had the Zwinger, designed by the architect Purpelmann and sculptor Balthasar Pomosa. It's a kind of outdoor banqueting hall that was intended to be a meeting place of the nobility. From the outside, this area of courtly festivities was protected by a moat and was accessible via a bridge and the crown gate of the gold-plated hood. A demonstration of splendour and power in stone, the buildings contained a library, art gallery and armoury. With its charming fountains and magnificent backdrop, the courtyard is ideal for a leisurely stroll and is one of Dresden's main landmarks. In 1709, between the inner and outer walls, construction began on the tournament area in front of the castle. Thus the name Zwinger. In the 19th century, Gottfried Semper built the Semper Opera no less than twice, as the first building was destroyed by fire. This magnificent building, dedicated to music, is one of the most glamorous opera houses in the world. The Royal Catholic Chapel in Palace Square is considered to be the last great work of Roman Baroque. August the Strong had to convert to Catholicism in order to gain the Polish crown. The residence of the Saxon electors is regarded to be a palace of treasures. Over the centuries, many well-known architects transformed the fortress into an exquisite castle. The buildings with reconstructed Renaissance facades are located around 3 courtyards and are overlooked by Haussmann's Tower, one of the oldest parts of the site. From Palace Square, it can clearly be seen how the late medieval castle was transformed into a 4-winged building with towers in each corner of the courtyard. On the 17th of February 1945, British bombing decimated Dresden, leaving only the spirit of a once beautiful, prosperous and culturally important city. The castle was destroyed, but was eventually rebuilt according to its original design and can now be seen in all of its former glory. As a centre of art and science, Dresden Castle contains a number of collections that are well known throughout the world and draw international visitors to this most ambitiously conceived and successful project. Close by, the stable courtyard is the world's oldest original tournament area of its kind. The Tuscan-arched arcades originated in the Renaissance period and were used by spectators during various tournaments and entertainments. Procession of Princes. A work of art that features 35 Saxon dukes, princes and kings on 24,000 painted porcelain tiles. The Church of Our Lady was the most important church construction of Protestantism and indicated the centre of the old town, powerful, dignified and sublime. This symbol of civic pride is both God's house and a memorial. For 250 years, this, the masterpiece of George Barr, symbolized both prosperity and faith. The largest stone dome north of the Alps, the Petersdom of the Protestant faith, and a monument that commemorates its founder, Martin Luther. In a single night of heavy bombing, it was destroyed, but subsequently rebuilt thanks to generous donations from around the world. A Protestant preaching church, completely dedicated to the pulpit, the place of the proclamation of the Word of God, and with a magnificent pipe organ. Today, concerts, church services and tours take place in this revered, sacred building. On Reformation Day 2005, the Church of Our Lady was consecrated as a symbol of reconciliation. Brühl's Terrace was raised above the casements on the former site of the Belvedere, along with its colourful flower beds and elaborate sculptures. In 1814, the park with its dolphin fountain was open to the public. Below is the Dresden fortress. Sturdy walls protect this fortified structure on the banks of the Elbe, where at the end of the 15th century up to 700 workers laboured long hours in its construction. In the vaults, battlements and gun placements, it is cold and damp. This is the other side of the city, militaristic, defensive. In 1707, this was where pharmacist Johann Friedrich Böttger was forced to create gold at the command of August the Strong. There was no gold, but instead brown stoneware, the basis of porcelain. Count Brühl, a follower of Friedrich August The Second, was presented with the Elb Wall as a gift and had a mile-long walkway built for the nobility. The balcony of Europe, 10 meters above the banks of the River Elbe, and accessed via an external staircase from Castle Square. It's believed that merchants who settled here founded the city at the Elbe's intersection of east-west trade routes in the 12th century. From a later fortress, a castle developed, and magnificent buildings gradually appeared along the river. The largest and oldest fleet of paddle steamers in the world is moored here. 9 historic paddle steamers of Saxon steam navigation cruise the Elbe. The oldest steamer was launched in 1879. A nostalgic sight. A boat trip through the Elbe Valley towards Loschwitz highlights a unique fusion of picturesque river landscape and impressive buildings. Since 1893, the Blue Wonder has connected Blasowitz with Loschwitz, a 260-meter-long steel suspension bridge without piers, all in blue. The rural district of Loschwitz possesses much scenic beauty and many interesting buildings. Even in the 18th century, both aristocracy and artists built their summer residences here. And following the phylloxera plague, villas were also built in the vineyards. Today, Loschwitz is the most desirable residential area in Dresden. The hillside villas were made more accessible in 1901. That was when the world's first cable railway was opened and travelled 84 meters to Upper Loschwitz. The view from the top of the Elbe Valley is overwhelming, and the journey fast and efficient. Since 1705, and next to the old valley station is Loschwitz Church, also the work of George Bach. Possibly the most beautiful funicular in Germany, it begins in the center and travels to the White Hirsch district in just 5 minutes. Since 1895, the funicular has covered 547 meters, rising to a height of 94 meters. From the Luisenhof restaurant, there's a fine view of the Elbe Valley and the Blue Wonder Bridge. Following a temporary period of decay, elegant villas in various architectural styles have now been restored to their former splendor. In 1875, White Hirsch was known as a health spa, and it soon became a sought-after residential area for the city's most wealthy and prominent citizens. The Elbe castles are situated along the periphery of Radeberg. Castle Eckberg, in the style of Old English Tudor Gothic, was built for a merchant on the Elbe hillside in the mid-19th century. Today, it's a very popular, exclusive hotel. The earliest of the 3 castles has been completely renovated. Lingner Castle is the middle of the 3 palaces on the River Elbe and was originally built for Baron von Stockhausen. Its last owner, Odol manufacturer Lingner, subsequently donated it to the city. Castle Albrechtsburg is set in extensive parkland. Prince Albrecht von Preußen had it built according to the design of a Roman Renaissance villa. Square side towers and ornate balustrades adorn the former magnificent building, which is surrounded by Corinthian columns. With stunning views of the Elbe Valley and Dresden. Nearby is Meissen, the cradle of Saxony, a medieval city with a long history. Here, in 929 AD, during his campaign against the Slavs, Heinrich I founded Misny Castle, in the surroundings of which Meissen gradually developed. Around 1200 AD, the rapidly growing settlement became a borough or town and had a square with a church and town hall at its centre. Finally, the Margraviate of Meissen fell to the Wettiner, who ruled here until 1485 and reigned over Saxony until 1918. Around 1,000 homes are protected by conservation order. In the Middle Ages, the city was an important market town with its own municipal laws and was surrounded by massive defensive walls. Its surviving Gothic and Renaissance architecture made it a cultural monument, a treasure trove of German history. Meissen is well known for the porcelain of the same name. In the Meissen factory, each aspect of the manufacturing process can be observed, along with a presentation of the history of the famous white gold. Although Johann Friedrich August discovered the raw material in Dresden, production was transferred to Meissen's Albrechtsburg fortress in 1710. Meissen's porcelain, with its distinctive symbol of crossed knives, is world famous. The route from the town to Castle Hill is like a glimpse into the past. A small gate leads into the castle. A final view across the city's rooftops. And next, a courtyard, framed by the castle, cathedral, and numerous manor houses. Today, the Albrechtsburg fortress is a museum, a striking castle that Duke Albrecht had enlarged according to late Gothic design in the mid-15th century. The paintings in most of the rooms illustrate the history of the castle and provide various scenes of the life of the nobility. Porcelain production is on show, and the tiled stoves and decorated vaulted ceilings are in excellent condition. It's as though the dining rooms, Prince's Room, Hall of Arms, and Great Dining Room have only recently been occupied. The first German castle to be built according to French design. Close by, the cathedral, whose two new towers do not have the early Gothic design of the main building. But its 100-metre-long main aisle is an impressive sight. And the Duke Chapel, with its grave monuments, replaced the site of the former collapsed towers. Returning to Dresden, there are many amazing things to see, situated along a wonderful river landscape. Buildings of Renaissance, Baroque, and Classicism. And from the meadows of the Elbe, the city skyline is reminiscent of the masterpieces of Venetian artist Canaletto. August the Strong on horseback welcomes us to the new town. The nymph fountain and glorious flagpoles mark the beginning of the Neustadter Market and main road of the former settlement of Old Dresden, on the right bank of the Elbe. The wide avenue is for pedestrians only, lined with flower beds and tiny fountains. The main axis of Inner Neustadt is like a road of romance. And superbly restored historic townhouses bring the former charm of this district back to life. In a small side street, there are craft shops and various workshops. And the rediscovered mile-long King's Road has once again become the domain of restored Baroque townhouses and secluded patios. The central Albert Square is an intersection of several streets, and it's dominated by two monumental bronze fountains, Stormy Wave and Silent Water. Among the most beautiful areas of the outer New Town is the Art Yard Passage, which extends across 5 interconnected and themed courtyards. There are a number of colourful and artistic facades, and several small shops and good restaurants attract many visitors. Here the spirit of the new town is to be discovered in the courtyards of mythical beings, nothingness, the elements, metamorphosis, and finally the courtyard of animals. The Great Garden is the largest, oldest, and most beautiful park in Dresden. Elector Johann George II had this garden created on the outskirts of the city. It was frequently enlarged, but was also partially destroyed due to acts of war. However, a glorious Baroque garden landscape was eventually created. A palace was also built here, not as a residence, but for the summer pleasures of the royal court. In front are water basin, fountains and cascades, orangery, maze, and a small theatre. About 150 marble statues and stone vases adorn this, the Versailles of Dresden. For more than 50 years, the Park Railway has operated on a 6-kilometre circuit through the park, an adventure for both young and old alike. The small train stations are a delight. Such as the Carola Lake that was created in a gravel pit and named after the Saxon Queen in 1881. The small trains travel at 30 kilometers an hour through meadows and woods, accompanied by drivers and conductors. The journey takes 30 minutes and stops at 5 stations. The Great Garden became popular with the city's inhabitants. The zoo, which is located on the periphery of the park, also has its own station. In 1861, the Dresden Zoo was founded and was one of the first zoos in Germany. It has around 2,000 animals. In spacious enclosures, African wildlife can be observed safely and securely. There are vultures too, along with flamingos and pelicans that are equally at home in these fascinating surroundings. Here the centuries created such beauty that this city has been described as the Venice of the East and Florence on the Elbe. Today, Dresden is a harmony of both architecture and landscape, a brilliant work of art.